Well, they're going to take us to Dragonshire here. More likely to be a double tank map here due to the fact you desperately need a solo laner for that top lane to get maximum efficiency here.
0-3. That's the current score here for KT on Dragonshire. Not the best.
Been done.
Yep, damage has been done here indeed. And were they the ones choosing the map, or was it KT?
Yes, it was. Like I said, research has been done by the One. They were banning out Stitches against KT. They're now picking one of their weaker maps. They clearly know what they're doing. It's just that the KT 2-minute Spider Queen too hard to deal with. Let's see if Dragonshire is the One's home ground that they can take off of KT and make it to a 1-1.
Yeah, I think the fact that the One banned out the Stitches was okay. I wouldn't actually mind to see another Stitches ban, because guess what?
Agreed.
Dragonshire is a really good map for him to play on. The Ariel, was she really... I don't know. Like, when teams struggle to make Ariel work themselves, why would you even consider banning it anymore? Like, the One after that last disastrous game, they should be like, you know, we had the Ariel, but it still didn't work out in our favor, so should we even consider a ban against it?
She's still really strong, is the point to make here. It's just a question of whether they think she's strong enough to let Butcher take that Stitches. They're hovering over the Stitches, so it looks like
that
maybe not. I agree.
Yeah, I like that a lot more. Like, if you have Lunara, okay. So the removal of Lunara sets or clears the path for a lot more support freedom. So you have Uther all of a sudden becoming a high priority pick.
Yeah, and the One have played Stitches themselves, so they could bring it out if it's not just picked straight away from them. Who has played it for them? It wasn't Lucky. Well,
no.
It does get away.
Speaking of Lucky, though, by the way, yesterday he had an extremely wonky performance on that ETC, not landing a single stage dive in an entire 20-minute game. Last game, he seemed almost helpless on that tutorial, never finding a grip, never finding a good way to engage. He was always poked down before he could make anything happen, and you just can't use Sanctification to save yourself from getting poked down, right? You need to use it when your team is ready to go in. So I really want Lucky to play something else. No ETC, no tutorial. Those two heroes don't seem to be his cup of tea.
Turns out, by the way, it was Meng, the current assassin player, who ended up playing the Stitches last time they played it. Lost, but they have played it, but it was not the player I thought I expected it to be played by.
Yeah, Meng to me seems like a lot more stable and consistent player than Lucky, so putting him on the likes of Stitches or the hyper carries, if you will, makes a lot of sense. But I think Meng is going to be on that Vala now anyway, so looks like Lucky is going to be the main tank once more.
Yep, would make a lot of sense. KT, starting off with a Tassadar, now they can still go back straight into that Lunara comp once again. It's really effective for a reason here.
So Tassadar, Vala, Oriel being snatched away to deny the infamous Holy Trinity, although it's been getting less and less popular. The Lunara once again being deployed next to the Sonya. Very nice. Tassadar and Sonya have very decent synergy with each other, especially if you go Kala's Light level 4, making Sonya even harder to kill. But even the movement speed, the Kala's celerity can be really sweet, especially Lunara, who's actually quite fast innately already. So if you give her extra movement speed, she can poke and kite even better.
And the move speed and whirlwinding Sonya is also very funny for starters, but really hard to deal with as it just spins towards you like a hurricane.
Quite true. Now the Uther getting shut down. I think they could have actually picked Uther themselves. Like, why would you ban it right now? Like, Uther Ariel is very scary.
I guess they want Rhaegar to deal with to just keep that AoE healing again. They might want to go for that again.
Didn't work out in game 1 though, Tetcher.
It did not, but I'm not sure Uther would be any more useful here just due to the lack of AoE healing. Like, yeah, Vala's a good generator, but if she's focused, depending on the tank, especially with Sonya already as a great target focus hero, they could lose that energy here, so they do need a backup healer.
Also, if you go for Rhaegar instead of Uther, I think you're running the risk of not having enough interrupts for the Sonya. So that might be an issue. Maybe we're going to see a Brightwing, though. To be honest, I wouldn't hate a Brightwing. Brightwing is a very safe, reliable, sustained healer against Lunara damage. She does have the Polymorph and the Emerald Wind.
Give Rhaegar to the Sonya team.
Like, I don't know. Like, Rhaegar is a very safe, reliable, sustained healer against Lunara damage. She does have the Polymorph and the Emerald Wind. Give Rhaegar to the Sonya team. like, no matter how you put it, the one is already in trouble, right?
Yeah. This is a KT, very similar style to last time, just drafting really well. They do pick the Rhaegar, and they bring out the ETC. So this time, they brought some crowd control. Hooray, they've got Raid Avengers, they got ETC. They're in a... The draft looks less terrible.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. The Sonya could still be a problem because ETC normally is not the one who, you know, waits for Sonya to spin only to drop the power slide. Normally, ETC is the one engaging the fight. He can't wait for the Sonya to do something. He needs to be the active team member. So that's the big difference of someone, let's say, Murden, because Murden normally can drop that Stormbolt to both disengage and engage, whereas he can also go for the Skullcracker to interrupt her anyways. So I wouldn't have hated to actually see a Murden. I wouldn't hate a Murden now on top of that anyways. Like, they could totally go Murden ETC.
Murden ETC would be great. I expect KT to probably still go for an Arthas because it's really good and it was super successful last time, and it really takes the skin off of a potential Illidan pick again, which is still solid on this map.
Yeah.
Dahaka has also managed to sneak his way through the draft, and a solo laner is kind of required for the one. We do see that Arthas and the healer of Malfurion coming in.
There's no way Hugo can go for Illidan right now. There's so many counters. The Sonya, ability damage. Lunara, ability damage. The silence from Malfurion, the slows from Arthas. There's too much stuff going on that KT draft to really justify a Illidan.
So what should we see here? What would work? We still like the Muradin. Muradin would be reasonable here.
Leoric?
Leoric would be nice. I wouldn't hate Rag again.
So here's what I want to see from a team like the One a little bit more. Step out of your comfort zone. Don't try to beat opponents.
Oh, come on.
Step out of your comfort zone. Pick Tychus, pick Leoric, Malthael. Okay, that one was banned, but pick percentage damage against the Arthas. He's the only warrior that can really ruin your day. Why don't you go for Tychus? Why would you go for the Illidan into all those counters? It looks to me like the One did not come in prepared into this draft. They keep picking the same things over and over, and it might hurt them quite a bit.
Okay, so in this kind of scenario, I don't say this often, but let's talk about why this is a good thing. Okay. So, this is a much better map for rotations. Illidan's going to be left alone a lot more.
Yeah,
this is where he can get some kind of advantage, where he can pick the Hunt this time, and he can, or even pick Metamorphosis and just rotate when he needs to. But like I said, he can solo lane, he can be a menace if he's left alone. The global potential for KT is subpar at best. This is where they can gain an advantage from this.
That's definitely true. Like, Dragon Sharon does focus on rotations, but not as much as Sumo's Primary. You definitely have more time, more space to go for objectives, to go for mercenary camps, so Illidan can definitely shine a little bit more in those respects. I totally agree.
This begs the question, though, if you were planning on doing that, why wouldn't you pick Dahaka? Let's see if it works for them, though, as we head into game number 2 between the One and KT. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dragonshire. Currently looking for a single point to give them a chance to go to BlizzCon. It is the One, with Hugo on Illidan, Lucky on ECC, Meng on Valor, Zyran on Ariel, and He playing the Rhaegar.
And can KT get that 2 under their belt? We're going to find out with T-Die on that Tassadar, Neptune on Sonya, Malfurion is being played by Genshua, seeing a Lunara, and Butcher rocking that Arthas. And I think we're going to have to refresh again, Tetcher.
I am on 8.
Sitting at that 8, by the way. I'm going for... Oh, man. Now it has to be that fast. 5 is not an option. Let me try again. 6 and 7. Yeah, that should be...
That'll do.
That should be okay.
That'll do. I'll stay a little bit behind. I'll stay behind until I lag again, then I'll probably refresh back to 7, so that will work. So, this is an interesting start coming in here for the One once again. Running the Illidan. I still make that argument of maybe Dahaka would have been better here. We will have to see how they play. He started off with the Immolation, though, so he is going for that split push style. He's got Rhaegar with him. They attempt to do some tower damage, but the rotation is far too quick. Good Jukes. Can he get out? He has no friend or foe yet. Neptune wants him. Trying to cut him off, but decides against it.
Yeah, really cool to see. And I was going to say, like, the one may be considered ETC as their global hero, but with them, or with ETC being the only melee, the only true frontliner, it is almost not an option. Because if you go for that global stage dive play style and your team is getting caught off guard, there's no bulwark to really keep your backliners safe and sound, and you might find your team overwhelmed before you arrive in time. I had another mini lag, so I'm just going to double check. I'm now sitting at 10, 9.
Okay, I just got my lag. Let's see what that dumped me onto.
It's just...
Can't see it. 10.
Yeah, I'm just going to refresh anyways.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we apologize, guys. The clean feed seems to be having a tough time today. In the meantime, we see Hugo falling, surviving. Oh my goodness.
I don't see any of this. There we go. I'm 6, 7-ish.
All right, we're going to keep that. That sounds good to me.
Alrighty.
It has brought to the attention of the Chinese production crew here, by the way, so they know about it, and hopefully they're going to find a fix. Hopefully they're going to send the best of the best peons they've got available to take things into their own hands. And meantime, we're going to take a look at the towns here. No big surprises just yet. We see Rhyme against Ilden Vala. That is really good on Arthas. Probably the best one to choose. And I think it is safe to say right now that the auto attack Tassara is a relic of the past. Very rarely do we see it, almost always on Battlefield of Eternity. If so, the Psionic Infusion is just too good.
Like, the only time I think it's viable to pick that auto attack Tassara nowadays is if you're against a Cho'Gall or something like that.
Yeah.
To get that percentage damage. You go dueling Sonya, Genshuo taking some harassment here. Meng looking for the kill. Genshuo gets away though. Tass comes to help out. But in the meantime, Zyran was at least able to neutralize this shrine, and Illidan's actually going to be able to get top. If Tass does not react in time... No, actually, Illidan has to back up. Arthas rotating is too scary for him.
Ooh, Meng going for a big aggressive vault here, actually paying with a lot of blood and meat here because he gets chunked down quite heavily. Those roots were on point by Gensho. Really well played. But Gensho himself finds himself in some trouble here. He's running low on juice, running low on mana, and that's the big disadvantage when you face an Auriel lane, because she never runs out of mana. She always needs that hope, and she can stay in lane for as long as Vala is doing well.
Muckeep rotating around, looking for any kind of sneaky kills. He will find Butcher. He will see Butcher rotating past. He wants to try and make a play onto mid, positioning himself, and also keep scouting that Siege Giant camp, see if it is taken at all at any point. Meng, once again, just eating damage at this point. Needs to be careful, because surprise Butcher.
Yeah, surprise Butcher, but surprise ETC and surprise Tassara. We're having a surprise party here in that bottom lane. But KT, they really need to capture the bottom shrine here in order to unlock the Dragon Knight in the middle.
Oh my god. Mercenary camp. Illidan was able to take it, but Neptune actually scouted it, and now might be in huge trouble. Lucky coming in. There are reinforcements here, passes here, and now
Lucky body blocked. Oh!
His body box did that face melt up. He finally is able to activate it, but now he's in trouble. You see T-Die is running straight for the tower. ETC is rooted, but clutch Dragon Knight capture there.
Yeah, lucky, never lucky there. Once again, he used his face melt too early, didn't have the power slide up either, and that's why the Dragon Knight was unlocked thanks to some spectacular body blocking as well by that Arthas for the most part. Beautifully done, and KT once again in control of this early game.
Yeah, really, really nice. And I think there was a little mistake there of Hugo actually attempting to rotate back to top lane despite both shrines being captured. He could have come down and helped that fight and maybe just made it into a 3v3. They had people elsewhere. They had Rhaegar with them as well. They could have definitely had a fight at 3v3. Gensho, more clutch roots, gets CC'd, but with Arthas here, everyone else is zoned out. Really, really nicely done by Gensho so far.
Genjo is playing out of his mind right now. He prevents himself from getting ganked. He made sure to hold the lane to the best of his abilities. Those roots are on point, and the entangling roots, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the harder crowd control effects to land properly, especially against swiftly moving targets like in HGC China. So really well played. He also went for the hindering Moonfire, by the way, at level 7. I love that talent, personally. It slows people by 25% for 2 seconds whenever a Moonfire lands. And guess what? Malfurion can spam those things like crazy.
Yeah, and that's going to synergize really well with the unfair advantage of Lunara a little bit later on. So those two will synergize really nice together and get a crazy amount of damage output. ETC, by the way, going for the extra damage on his face melt if he face melts a power slid. I assume power slid. Power slid target.
You're the native speaker here, I don't know.
Neptune was attempting to do what Illidan did earlier, but this time a far bigger invade coming out of the one. They're able to kill
Arthas is holding strong.
He is just trying to hide at the back here, but Arthas is doing too much. They're
holding
the other side is looking for an area to damage. They're going to ditch it. Camp is taken. It's a 1-for-1, 2-for-1. Surprise Lunara from the side. And KT come out on top.
ETC just took a spear to the knee here. He was executed by a flanking Lunara. Beautifully done. Now, what can they do? What can they capitalize on here with this mercenary camp? Tassadar is pushing into the top lane, only facing an Illidan. And Illidan, guess what? He's not the best when it comes to dealing with merc camps while harassed by a Tassadar. So he needs to be on his tippy toes, actually getting pressured back. And 30 seconds left, Tetra, until another shrine phase will be active. And if you take a look at the minimap here, almost everything is getting pushed against the one. They're taking too long to get mercenaries themselves. Their wave clear is very much limited.
They have heroics though.
They have their ults now. That's very important.
Yeah, Mosh Pit coming in here for ETC, so this has to be a Hunt Illidan, right? They need the global. Actually, the way he's rotating is going to be meta. Oh my god, if it's going to be meta, and I'm going to be upset because that ruins the one advantage they could have taken, because they could have got a global and tried to out-rotate, but instead, they go for meta because they want to take greedy team fights.
Yeah, and now you can see the rotations. They didn't care about this mercenary camp. KT just baited them in. Sonya is already at channeling the Dragon Knight, and they're going to get it once again. A Marshpit coming in. Is the cleanse going to be here? No cleanse, no Malfurion.
Twilight Dream, though, counters it. Ancestral lands on Illidan, though, because he was in the Aegis, so they're able to drop a little bit of damage, but look at that attack speed slow. Hugo's getting nothing. Lucky's just dropping some disruption. Hugo's too low. They have to back up. In the meantime, their fort's dying.
No cleanse available because of Malfurion and Tassadar, so that's a big deal if they get caught in the dance party. But look at that, the Dragon Knight wreaking havoc in that middle lane. He could have actually rotated top lane over the bridge with that mercenary camp and deal even more damage, while the rest of his team then just continued to push bottom. But as it is, many tools were wasted here for the one without getting any good results. Now Neptune in here, kicking and firing people as much as he can. Those Dragon Knight flames, they deal a lot of damage. Lucky's going to fall. No more main tank available.
Hugo's trying to cause some damage in the backline while Arthas is distracted, but he's getting a 3v1 Metamorphosis, though. That gives him some time, but he's getting focused. Dives into Arthas to try and escape. He will be able to get out, but he's managed to achieve nothing. As down goes Rhaegar. They do kill off Sonya. That's a start. Hugo still alive. Aegis keeping him alive. Down goes Arthas, and the keep dive. Turns out that no matter how hard the one attempts to potentially throw this game, if you dive too deep, you will be punished. As the one, look for seeing. They tried to kill him off. The shield is too good. You go with the clutch healing. Zyran, the savior of the one here.
Hugo's back, baby! Tearing things apart, slicing and dicing his way to victory with that Illidan. It was not easy for him to catch all of those targets because Zyran's Detainment Strike was not ideal, actually kicking Lunar away from his grasp. But it was still a nice turnaround, a nice comeback. Too many tools were used on Vala. As such, Hugo had free reign. Now, that is a little bit ambitious, though. I don't think they can get that bottom floor.
I will 100% say Zyran is so much the reason they won that. Illidan was so close to death so many times, but it was thanks to the clutch healing of Zyran and the clutch energy generation of Valor that allowed them to keep that fight going. It was the 3-man all-in comp that allowed them to finish off.
Insane. That redefines the term of hypercarry. That's exactly what you want to have. As long as the Illidan is available, both supports behind him, they can make those plays happen. The roots land on Lucky, he walks back in.
He wanted to go top, but he knew Sonya was coming, so he tried to go back, found the roots, and they are in trouble. And the one have done everything they possibly can to lose any possible advantage they can take here. Looking for yet another fight. Root gets dropped. Lucky Focus does stay alive here. It is really very much down to the one have lost any kind of global advantage they could get, and are instead just actually able to... They're punishing KT for overextending. That's the only reason the one is still in this game, because KT went too far with the Butcher.
And the fact that Butcher pressed his R button too prematurely caused a lot of problems here for KT right now. Another 57 seconds until the army is back, and they need the Army of the Dead to make sure that Arthas remains tanky enough so that he doesn't force all those healing cooldowns onto himself. Because oftentimes, you know, cooldown management very important. If your main tank doesn't have his healing ulti or his sustain ulti ready, you're gonna naturally have to invest more healing cooldowns onto him that you can't use on heroes like Seeing then, or like Lunara and Sonya in the process, and that as a result could cripple your team fighting. So they need to wait right now until Arthas is back in tip-top shape.
So Tassadar rotates to top lane. He will be able to grab this and prevent the Dragon Knight from going. Sonya will be able to prevent the Dragon Knight from being captured in the meantime.
Yeah, there we go. Hugo going in. Arthas is not the target he should aim for, though. Neither should it be Sonya. A one-man mosh to secure a kill against Sonya. Is that going to work out? Sonya, no mystical spear to save her life. She ends up falling.
Sonya taken down here. Butcher being forced to retreat, and the one finally be able to take advantage is punishing splitting and overextensions from KT, and that's what's helping them out here. But Butcher, relentless onslaught, just pushing through any protection Lucky could give. A shrink ray on Lucky for good measure to try and finish him off. Twilight Dream. Lucky's still alive though, finally taken out by the Leaping Strike. Hugo's coming in from behind here, but he is alone. Has to metamorphosis over the wall to escape.
Yeah, oh my goodness. The one, they punish the Sonya and get punished in return. And guess what? The timing couldn't have been worse because both shrines are available. Arthas Butcher's already preparing to take another Dragon Knight in their favor. And with that one, Tetra, slowly but surely, keeps are getting close to getting destroyed, Tetra.
Yeah, we're seeing this last remaining fort gonna take
the last one.
One axe. Two axe. As the Dragon Knight takes it down, moving on to those tier 2s.
Yeah, and something you can't forget about, guys, is the fact that the Dragon Knight's abilities and auto attacks now hit even harder than before. There was an undocumented change, especially on that Fire Breath. Ooh. And if you stand too long in those flames, it will deal so much damage. You can't afford to get hit too many times. That was something that was one of the major weaknesses, the major drawbacks of the Dragon Knight. It was too weak in team fights. Now it has good wave clear, good AoE damage, and still hits those buildings like a truck.
And with those truck-like hits, the first keep of the game gets taken out as KT begin to pull back. They've got what they need. They don't need to fight this, but they will if they can. As Meg gets chunked by the Poison Spear. Where's the healing? There it is. Dragon Knight wants him, trying to dive into him there. Ooh. So far, no kills in this fight, but Lunara looking to change that. Hugo comes in. He metamorphosizes into the mosh pit so he can try and take down Malfurion before the Twilight Dream can use. Yes, he gets him. The Lunara with the Leaping Strike trying to take down Lucky, but Hugo is on point. Arthas has been completely zoned away from this. Can't get to Hugo. Finally manages to get to him. It's 3 heroes, all versus Hugo, who is able to dive back into his base. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of the one, and they want more.
They want more, but can they get it? T-Die is already mounted up. The minions are helping out here.
Demounted.
Oh, the face melt is good enough.
Butcher lands the root dimensional shift, and oh my god, he's not done. Here comes Butcher trying to protect T-Die. T-Die self-shields. Lucky going through. T-Die's so low, but it's Hugo tanking the fort, and that will be enough to save T-Die.
Don't underestimate the power of a fort slow shot. Very nice chase here by the one. In the end, it was not enough. And that's the kind of play we expect from a Chinese team. And those plays oftentimes backfire heavily. I think European teams or Korean teams, they probably wouldn't have chased all the way into the fort. They would have tried to go for mercenaries sooner, because as it is right now, like, instead of chasing, they could have sent Illidan towards that top bruiser camp that KT is now taking, and they could have taken several mercenary camps at the same time. As it is though, they're still getting good value. They took one mercenary camp and they took out the bottom fort as well. Not the most elegant way of salvaging the situation, but still decent value.
XP is XP, and right now it's a race towards level 20, and also it does take a little bit of pressure off of the bot lane, because it means it's a less safe lane for KT to keep pressure on due to not having a fountain to retreat to if those catapults start being cleared and they start putting themselves in danger.
I'm starting to get triggered here, by the way, by these constant lags. It's just unbearable. I'm just trying my best to keep up here. 7 seconds. Yeah, 7 seconds.
My entire day so far, dude.
Yeah, today's clean feed has been performing abysmally bad, so sorry guys, we're trying our best.
Yeah, we still have one series after this. Hopefully it will be repaired for that. Hopefully it will be repaired by the end of this series, as we do see Lucky pulling a very wide berth around Butcher to not get himself killed here.
So, can KT just salvage the game and put it to a good end? The longer the game lasted, the more I felt like the one was finding their rhythm finally. Illidan, in particular, became quite the nightmare. So, KT, they're not... What is the one doing? Are they just going to let this go through?
They don't want to, but they don't have much of a choice. Dragon Knight gets taken. They couldn't get in range here. Illidan actually ate a lot of damage, even attempting to. But now here comes the Dragon Knight. Sonya's on the way. It's going to be a 5v5 defense. Any structure that goes down here is going to be a structure that gets KT closer to hitting that level 20. Right now, before the structure started going down, the one were pretty even. But with the Dragon Knight here, that's about to be very rough. Lucky being forced to back up a bit. Healing Totem getting really good value, keeping Meng nice and healthy here.
That Shrink Ray, though.
Wrapping around, and they don't have Sonya here.
Yeah, the Shrink Ray landed on ETC here to prevent his movement. They don't have it for Illidan as a result, though. The Ancestor really going through. And this is one of those weird moments where the Dragon Knight is not powerful enough yet to really threaten the core, but it's also not good enough to really get the keep here. They're getting stalled, and they're getting kited here by multiple heroes on the one. Meng takes a lot of damage here, though.
Meng, don't stand in the fire. Have you not played WoW? As we see the one try to move forward, but a good route by Mouth, zoning out the poison onto Hugo, trying to prevent it with Ancestral. It's almost impossible for the one to try and make a play here. So now it's just down to poke potential from KT.
Exactly, and poke potential they have plenty of. With that Lunara, the Moonfires, of course, provided the Psy Storms by Tassadar, and 20 is just so close around the corner. The one, maybe they should have forced an all-in fight before that one landed, but with that minion wave, the Storm Towns are going to be unleashed, and then things are going to get really problematic for the one.
We've seen teams, though, get punished for this. Illidan has managed to get himself a fort up in top lane, giving some XP, which also gives level 20 to the one. This is their best chance. Illidan's not here. They need to wait for him to be. He is returned. Illidan's on the way here. The KT are going so deep. There's no keep to retreat to here. Lucky knocks back. Mosh Pit is available. This is their last chance for a fight. Illidan trying to be a good distraction.
Twilight Archon!
Storm Shield. Here's the Mosh Pit against 3. They've already killed 1. Lunara's been taken out. Genshua is the next target. Twilight Dream can be dropped here for the attempted turnaround once it's off cooldown, but no, he's killed off before it comes off, and the huge turnaround by the one. Butcher is focused and deleted by here. We're seeing only Tassadar alive. The clutch Mosh Pit.
Wow, it's a 5-team team wipe.
Turnaround, a full team wipe by the one. They're moving into bot lane to attempt to get a keep.
Why did TY not use his Twilight Archon right off the get-go? It has infinite duration as long as you keep auto-attacking. He waited so long until people were trapped in the mosh pit, and only then did he use it. So much potential wasted, my friend. And now the one they're tearing things up, the cooldowns are too long. The death timers, they're not going to be ready in time. They're punching their way through that bottom keep, and I think the one might actually do it.
This is gonna be it. It's gonna be a 1-1 as the one move through the keep, ignoring the wall, and they are gonna take down the core. A clutch mosh pit right before the Twilight Dream went off, and the Illidan snipe on Malfurion before it came off cooldown. What an execution for a final fight, and the one have got to be feeling relieved. They get a 1-1 score. They move up to 16 points, 1 point behind BTG, meaning that the decider for who goes to BlizzCon will be tomorrow.
One mistake is all it took for KT to lose the grip of the game. They just gave it out of their hands by going for a needless fight next to the enemy team's core after just getting level 20 for themselves. They really wanted to push it to the limit, but they got punished pretty heavily. A couple of misplays here. Once again, if you have that Twilight Archon and the call is made, guys, we're going to keep on fighting here. Just use it. You can always attack an enemy hero. You can always attack a minion nearby. Even the core could have taken one shot to refresh the duration of the cooldown, and you're not supposed to use it when there's already a 3-man mosh pit landing, because if you had used it before, maybe ETC couldn't have mosh pitted. So couple of mistakes made by both teams. The one looking very shaky in the early game, but coming back strong in the late game. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Exactly. They just played so safe. Like you said, they pushed it to the limit. They were walking along the razor's edge for the entirety of that late game. If they had lost those fights, and Illidan, just the second he got that fort retreated, that fort was exactly what they needed to get level 20. It's a clutch decision. When your keep is already dead, your core is under pressure, and you have the balls to say, I know we can survive long enough for me to run to top lane and get a fort.